You're listening to the Rapid Electric Tailgate Party. Welcome to the Linda Hamill Insurance Coaches Corner. Now let's join Monty Walker with Howe Bulldogs head coach Lance Bryan.
Coach, last Friday you had a great game plan against the Gunner Tigers, a great football team. You put up a tremendous fight. The final score really doesn't indicate how that game went.
You know, we felt like it was really close for about 2.5 quarters. You know, it was a 2-score game about midway through the third quarter, and, you know, things kind of got away from us, you know, for a little while there. You know, but the first half especially, our kids came out fighting, and, you know, we talked to them all week about, you know, you can't back down from a big opponent, and, you know, Gunner's ranked number 1 for a reason. They're a loaded roster, and, you know, they don't have a lot of weaknesses, and so there's not a whole lot to necessarily exploit. And so, you know, the game plan was basically to execute, you know, what we needed to do to slow them down. And you know, we were able to slow them down a little bit early, you know, big fourth down, you know, stand, you know, early in the game. And, you know, obviously Rattler's big run, second play of the game, that's a huge momentum swing, you know, for us, and gave our kids a lot of confidence, and that kind of bled through for a while. And you know, unfortunately, as the game kind of wore on, you know, we kind of wore down a little bit, and, you know, that's something we need to, you know, continue to improve on. But, you know, I was proud of the way our kids fought, but, you know, we're not looking at moral victories. That's not, when a moral victory is a loss, and that's all it is. And so that's not really what we're looking at. But you know, one of the positive takeaways is that, you know, down in, down out, there was a long time in there where we were going toe to toe, and we were matching shots, and we were doing some good stuff. And so we just need to be able to do that, you know, for a longer period of time, and, you know, try to come out on top of those.
So, you know, it was a great game at the half. What was the locker room like at the half there with your kids?
You know, we talked a lot about how we proved, you know, we can play with them. And, you know, we were picked to lose by, you know, between 30 and 40, depending on the poll. And so, you know, nobody really even gave us a shot to even, you know, be in the game. And, you know, I would anticipate that a team like Gunner probably anticipated that they were going to be able to put us away, you know, probably in the first quarter or by halftime at least, and that wasn't the case. And so, you know, we knew, and the kids knew, like, hey, we're toe to toe here. You know, we're doing a lot of good stuff. And so, you know, the message to them was, you know, we fixed, you know, little mistakes or little errors here or there, and, you know, basically just stay true to our game plan, and, you know, just encourage the kids to keep fighting, and they did that.
So you've got a lot of 4-year starters on this roster, some 3-year starters. You know, they faced opponents like Mineola, Mount Vernon, Winsboro for the past couple of years. Do you think that helps going into a game like that against Gunner? You
know, definitely. It's hard to turn it up and turn it down, you know, depending on, you know, your opponent. And we try to build up every game like it's a big game. And, you know, they were in a tough district last year, and, you know, a lot of tough opponents, you know, week in, week out, so you can't take anybody lightly. I feel like our district's the same way, because when you look at, you know, Gunner's number 1, Bell's is number 4, and Leonard went 3 rounds deep last year. And so there's a lot of good talent in this district too. And so it's a tough slate. But, you know, you've got to get up and stay up for every single team, and you know that these kids are used to doing that over these last few years, and so you know, we kind of lean right into that's just what we do here, is we get up for big games.
I think there's a player on your defense that has really stepped up. Wasn't there early in the season, has come on after an injury. Gary Langford's played outstanding at cornerback. What's he been able to do for you out there?
You know, he's one of those kids. He's a great kid. Like, one of the things that he does after every single game, and you know, I feel like he was probably raised, you know, really well. Not that a lot of our kids are raised that way, but after every single game, he comes up and says thank you to his coaches that personally coach him. And he means it. And so, like, he's one of those kids that he has taken every single bit of any coaching that we've ever given him, and he's done everything that he can to do it to the best of his abilities. And he's got a lot of ability, and so you put those two things together, and you got a kid that starts making a whole bunch of plays. And you know, he's come downhill probably about 6 times now, I think, where he's come downhill and made a tackle for loss, and that's not easy to do at corner, because you've got a long way to run. You've got to get downhill fast and read your keys quickly, and he does that. And you know, and he can run, and so he's able to go cover receivers. And, you know, even though he's a sophomore, and we talked about, you know, the moment not being too big for some of those 2 and 3 and 4-year starters, you know, he's a guy that he was on varsity baseball as a freshman. You know, he's used to being in big moments, and, you know, baseball team made the playoffs last year, and he was he had a hand in that. And so, you know, he's ready for big moments, and I anticipate that we're going to hear his name a whole lot more for the next 3 years.
G-Force.
It's a great nickname.
We're going to take a quick timeout. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
This is Matt Linder with Linda Hamill Insurance. Your home field is where everything happens. And I'm not talking about Bulldog Stadium. We're talking about your home, your car, and your life. For over 30 years, we've been offering bundled discounts on home, auto, and life. We offer Germania and Progressive insurance protection, as well as many others to suit your needs. Call us today at 903-965-4098 or come by and see us at 106 North Broadway in Bells, Texas. That's 903-965-4098.
All right, Coach Bells comes to town. Dale West, our former offensive coordinator in Howe. A lot of people in Howe are familiar with him and the slot T here. They remember those 8 playoff games here in the mid part of the last decade. How do you stop the slot T?
Stopping the slot T is incredibly hard. There's a reason why it was invented probably in 1930 and it's 2022 and teams are still running it. It's a great offense and it's a great scheme and it's hard to stop. I think the bigger thing is that, you've got to match their physicality, because when you run that kind of an offense, that's what you're trying to hang your hat on. You're saying everybody knows what we're going to do. And they're not hiding what they're going to do. There's some misdirection and some things like that the slot T does that kind of makes it a little bit harder, to decipher what's going on. But essentially, they are coming right at you right now, and they're going to try to make you stop it. And so, being physical up front, reading keys quickly, not getting our eyes caught in the backfield and, looking at all the, the fake handoffs and everything like that. We got to play some assignment football, but the biggest thing is we've got to come off the ball on the line. And so it's going to be in the trenches, really, that the game's won or lost.
Cooper Jones, another 3 touchdowns last week. At what point does he get statewide attention?
He's like 7th in 3A for touchdowns. He has 13 touchdowns. He's thrown for 1. He's run in for several. The Wild Dog, and he's obviously caught a whole bunch too. And he's an offensive weapon, and we try to move him around and get him the ball in different ways. And it's week 8 now. I mean, there's teams are whatever they are at this point. There's probably no real secrets at this point. So everybody knows that, he's a big weapon out there and teams are going to have to count for him. And so, he's a great player and he makes a lot of plays. And, I don't know why people aren't talking about him more, statewide, but, if you keep making plays, it'll come.
One thing that's helped him also is the play of Haley being able to find other receivers. And it looks like he's really dialed in and started to lock in with his slot receivers. Braden Ulmer and Colin Murphy as well.
Definitely. Those guys, they don't get quite the attention Cooper does, because Cooper just seems to find the end zone a little bit more, and that's not necessarily by design. It's just that he keeps getting the end zone. But those other guys are making a lot of big plays, and teams do try to take away Cooper. That's something that is, other teams are going to game plan for that, and I don't blame them. I would too. I faced them. I did the same thing whenever I was facing against them, but. But that opens up opportunities for other guys, and Haley does a good job not forcing it to Cooper. There's times where we're going to go up to him in a 50-50 situation, but we don't need to force it to him down in, down out, because we have other great players, and Braden Ulmer and Murphy are both 2 of those. And BU's just a sophomore. He's another one of our puppies that's up that's biting pretty good. And he's a great player. And Murphy was up last year as a sophomore, so he's not new to this. And so we definitely use those guys to spread the ball around and make us a little harder to defend.
So big game Friday night, big huge playoff implications. 3rd district game. If you're able to light it up, what does that do for the playoff scenario?
The district's pretty wide open. There's 4 spots, 6 teams, and right now, one team's 2-0, one team's 0-2, and then there's 4 teams all sitting at 1-1. And so it's going to come down to, these last 3 games are going to be huge, because all of those teams all play each other. We played Leonard. They're one of the teams that's 1-1, so that was obviously a key victory for us. And when it comes to playoffs, and we've got the next 3 teams that are all 1-1 and coming up, and so we've got to make sure we take care of business. And we've got to win as many as we can. I heard early in the season people saying things like 2 will get you in, 2 will get you in. Well, that's not necessarily the case. 2 gets you potentially in a tiebreaker situation, and so we need to win every single one we can, and make sure that we don't put ourselves in a situation where we're counting up points or doing something like that. And so we need to win every game we possibly can.
Today's Coach's Corner has been brought to you by Linda Hamill Insurance. You're listening to the Rapid Electric Tailgate Party.